Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Pulpit View. I am your host, Stephen K. Garrett, and we are live tonight for just a quick moment. Wanted you to want to chime in and talk to you all. Hopefully, everyone's been having a phenomenal week, a phenomenal day, and you are having just an amazing time tonight. Just hopefully that you're having an amazing time. We're excited to see what is happening, and I am excited to see how God is moving in your life. So, as we are going live tonight, I want to welcome you to this episode of the Pulpit View, where we pull back the curtains and we examine what life and ministry looks like behind the scene. And tonight, I want to talk about this subject that is near and dear to me because, as some of you know, I've been away, but I want to talk about when life interrupts the plan. When life interrupts the plan. Um, One of the things that I've understood is that good leadership isn't sticking to the plan at all costs, but sometimes good leadership is knowing when the plan needs to adjust. Sometimes understanding that the plan is needs to shift is not only necessary, but it is pivotal for you as a person. Not only necessary for adjustment is necessary for the organization that you're leading, the church that you're leading, but here it is. It is necessary for you as a person to recognize that if you're going to be successful at what you're successful at, you're going to have to be able to you're going to have to be able to do adjustments well. You're going to be pushed in places where the plan needs to be shifted. And if you really want to see a powerful movement, you have to be willing to say, how do we reorganize? How do we shift? And how do we make it relevant to the season that we're in? And so, what we have to understand is that leadership is not linear, but it has a lot of hills and valleys in it. One of the reasons that I haven't been in the pulpit view in the past few weeks is not because I stopped doing the work or not because I stopped believing in developing the plan, but during this season, we've had a lot of shifts in our family. And while I was thinking about um, just what to say tonight, I want to share with somebody that is in leadership that is dealing with the issues that are real in life. I want to share with somebody that the journey, part of the reality of what we deal with on a day to day basis is recognizing that if you are going to be successful in leadership, you are going to have to be able to pivot with the plan. You're going to have to be willing to adjust as necessary for what you are aiming to do. And so, as you're coming on tonight, I want you to shoot me some of the things that you've realized that you've had to adjust in your life, things that you had to adjust in your life, things that had to be reorchestrated, or how you had to um, go back to the drawing board to readjust the plan. Because I believe healthy leadership isn't the ability to stick to the plan no matter what, but healthy leadership is knowing what must remain consistent, and you are allowed to change what's not consistent. Here's how many great leaders have said: you must focus on the important and do away with the things that keep the main thing the main thing. And so what that means when we say keep the main thing, it is if I understand that we want to go down the street. Want to go down the street. We want to go to a destination. And I discovered that there's road work. There may be detours on that road work because of that road work. The detours may take us off path for a small amount of time, but that does not mean that I'm not still going the right direction. And some of us, we're struggling because our paths are so fixed that we're unable to realize when we are able to pivot and we find ourselves in a gridlock. We find ourselves in a traffic jam and we don't have to be there. And it's a mental traffic jam. And so as we deal with this, one of the things that I recognize some years ago, and two times I was traveling to Atlanta, and I remember that I did not want to get off because my direction, my GPS kept telling me to veer off at this one spot, and so I didn't veer off. And then finally, my GPS adjusted, and it changed my time. It changed my time because I stayed on that road for 3.5 hours. So right now, I was literally an hour from my destination, but it added 2.5 hours onto my time. I want to share why that's important because as soon as I saw that, I got off on the next exit and I pulled into a gas station. I said, "What happened? Did anything happen on the road?" They said, "Well, they have the highway cut off. There was a bad accident, and the highway is shut down right now." And so after I recognized that, I got off, I rerouted, I allowed the GPS to reroute me. It rerouted me, and it took me a total of an hour and a half to get to my destination, which was still longer than the hour that I was expecting, but shorter than the 3 hours and a half. What am I saying to you? I was so stuck with the way that I was used to going that I was bound to be in the traffic jam that would have held me up about an hour, about 2.5 hours longer than if I took the redirection. And I want to share with you, some of you have plans and you have hit a traffic jam in your life. You've hit a place in your life where you're wondering what's going on ahead of me. Why is this so stressful? Why is this so problematic? What I had put in place, the plans that I had, they're not operating in the way that I thought they would. And you're wondering, why is it happening? And I want to challenge you tonight to do what I did. When you recognize that what the plans you originally had, the destination and the time frame that you put there, when they're not operating the way you think they need to, this is your time to pull off, to sit down and recalibrate, or allow God's GPS to recalibrate you so you can understand what's going on ahead of you. Because some of us look at it as it's taking longer, but it is keeping you from being deterred or keeping you from being hemmed up in a place in your life that you have been so focused on arriving to that you're going to end up missing your destination. I was sharing with someone that I've been given the privilege of mentoring the other day about a school that they're going to, and their school isn't well known, right? And so part of what I was sharing with that person was, you don't know why God is sending you to the place that he's sending you right now. And you're looking at it as if it's a negative thing. But what if it had value to it? And your desire not to embrace it is keeping you from the value that you had. And so I want to share with you, many of you may know my story, some may not. So I started at Tuskegee, the illustrious Tuskegee University. the pride of the swift growing South, right? I started there as an architect. They lost their accreditation in architecture, and I transferred into the business house. Well, me and my wife got married. I was paying for my last year for the most part out of pocket with some scholarships, and had a balance. Some stuff happened. Long story short, had a balance that I could not afford that year. I decided I was going to take a seat and save up some money and put some work together to go back to school and finish at Tuskegee. I was in my last year. And so with that, I made that decision, and it was a hard decision. I knew the Lord was in the decision at the time, but here it is. I ended up not finishing where I started. Can I tell you the truth? What happened was my wife ended up having a similar challenge her last year, and she is my wife now, the mother of my child. And I made a promise to her father that she would graduate Tuskegee University, and I planned on keeping that promise. So what I did was I went back and I would go, and we set up a payment arrangement, and we paid for that final year. And God blessed and restored all of it to us. But by this time, I am very committed to my work. I own the barbershop. I'm making great money, and I'm trying my best to figure out why would I even go back to school. And so the Lord placed it back on my heart. I wanted to go back into Tuskegee. And as I wanted to go into Tuskegee, some things shifted. So with those shifts that happened, what I ended up having to do was decide if I was going to go to Tuskegee to finish my business degree, or I was going to get a more pastoral education with my business degree. So I made that decision. And as I made that decision, I came in and I decided to go to Selma University. One of the best decisions I ever made, because it developed a network and a community that I could not have received at Tuskegee University. That I could not receive at Tuskegee University. Now, why am I telling you this? Because my plan was very linear. I had made a decision that this is how I wanted to go. And for years, I felt some type of way about making a decision that veered off of my plan. But now, as a pastor, as a nonprofit coordinator, as a working for a nonprofit, building my own business again, it set the groundworks for being able to start from fresh. I want to share with somebody that one of the struggles that we deal with in starting life, in just living, is that when we have to um take a pause, when life interrupts the plans, when life shifts us a different way, what we usually do, we find ourselves in a pity party. We find ourselves in a place where we're stuck, and then we convince ourselves we should stay in this stuck mentality. And can I share with you something tonight? And if you're in the comments, let me know if this is helpful to you. But what I've discovered is that when you find yourself in that place, what ends up always happening is you end up having a sense of, here it is, you have a sense of being crippled because life is happening around you, but you're stuck in the place that you had to pivot. You're stuck in the place that did not go as planned. When marriage fails, you're stuck in the failed marriage. You do not move on to all the opportunities that are around you. You're stuck in the place where the failure happened. And I want to challenge you that when life interrupts your plan, that part of the goal is to allow yourself to reap the benefits that God is allowing to happen in the season of reorganization. Can I tell you something? If it was not for my years at Selma, I would not be able to pastor with the level of ingenuity, the level of dedication, and the level of patience that I have now. In fact, my years at Selma helped to build my marriage stronger. There are those that have looked at my marriage and have posed the question, what can you say is one of the pivotal things that have helped you have a strong marriage? It was the adversity that we went through together, those long trips, those times talking, rearing our kids in the way that we were, even making certain pivots. And so I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you tonight because I don't plan on being long. I don't plan on being long tonight. But I wanted to just come on and talk to you, see some of the people that are on tonight. One of the things that I talked about the last time that I was here was the care framework. This is something that I've been working on for a while, and it's been beneficial and transformational to my life. Can I share with you? Because what I've discovered is if you really are going to handle life's interruptions, life's challenges, as Anthony Lewis said, divine interruption. If you're really going to handle it, you're going to have to be able to develop a level of care that is um, helpful in this season. Can I share with you the first thing that care means? Care means communication. Who needs to know your capacity has changed? When life is altering, right now we are dealing with some family things with health and all those things, and we're good. But with dealing with those things, we've had to communicate to people in positions that this is what my capacity can handle. Can I share with you one of the struggles we deal with in leadership? We want people to carry a load that we don't tell them we're carrying. We want them to lighten a load that we don't recognize that we're the reason that the load is so heavy, because we've not shared that the load that we're carrying is something we need help with. And so being able to communicate that your capacity has changed, that you need help in this area, you need direction in this area. I have a phenomenal associate. I have several phenomenal associates, and right now I'm working on how to shift to help them carry some of the weight, because I recognize my capacity has changed. You don't have to disappear emotionally while continuing to perform publicly. But here's what you can do. You can talk to your spouse and say, babe, listen, this is what's going on in this season of our marriage. And I need you to be aware. One of the things that I share with people that have made me and my wife life so much easier is our communication level when we do not feel like being bothered. And we're not nasty about it. We're not bad about it. We just say, listen, today's a quarantine day. Today I got a lot on me and I need silence today. And I try to offer that silence to her, and she tries to offer it to me. And usually it's not silence from one another. It might be silence from everything else. So what can I take off your plate today? But I need to know that you need help in this area, because every other day you have this capacity. So now you want me to take over, and I don't know you need me to. Because husbands and wives are not mind readers. We are there to help carry the load, but only if you communicate. Churches can only help you, pastor, if you communicate. This is an area that I have struggled with myself. It is very hard for me as an entrepreneur to tell people I need anything. But I do better now in communicating to the folk that I know communicate. Here's what your pastor could use help with. So communication, if you're going to build a care framework, you got to have communication. You got to have action. What needs to change? What needs to change? You can't just say, you can't just talk about the capacity that has changed, but you also need to talk about what needs to change. Your system is only good if it serves the mission. That's it. Your system is only good if it serves the mission. If the, let me say it, your mission is not meant to serve your system. Your system is meant to serve your mission. If I have a system that does not equip disciples, does not help steward people and help to teach people how to steward, then my system is out of date and I need to revamp my system. I need you to do a self check of what is the system I'm using. Let me know what system needs to change. Lay that thing before the Lord. Are you allowing the system to show? Are you allowing the system to make demands that the mission should? We are at a church. We are a season in our church now where we have some of our senior saints that have led the way that are growing older. And I am actively working to get my senior saints to mentor some of the younger saints because this is a biblical truth. Young men have the strength to run. The older have the work, will show you the way. I'm trying to tell somebody, if you look at how your system is working and you are saying that if you are finding yourself in the place, and this is what these are language we'll use, that's not the way we've always done it. Well, the problem is with that form of thinking is if I am only tied to the way I do it, but not the mission accomplished, then the reason that I'm doing it has failed. The reason I'm doing this failed. One, Matthew 25, I do believe, Matthew 25, where you hear about the servant who says, the servant who talks about the stewardship, right? Now, in this text, and if I'm wrong, someone please correct me in the comment. But if I'm wrong, here it is. He says he gave 1 10, gave 1 5, gave 1 2, gave 1 1. The one with 5 took it to the marketplace. The one with 2 took it to the marketplace. The one with 1 went and hid it. This is what he says. The one 2 said, "Listen, master, I brought 1 with 5 said, master, I brought these 5 back plus 5. 1 with 2, I brought these 2 back plus 2. The one said, I went and hid it because I know you're this type of person, you're this type of person." He said, if you have known those things about me, wouldn't it at least made sense for you to put into a bank that it would have accrued interest? He said, the system you use doesn't make sense for what I desire, for the mission that I wanted. I'm asking you, in the body of Christ, is the system tied or is it working for the mission that God has sent you there for? Or is the system or is the mission you're trying to perform working for the system you have? Because some of our systems are what is burning us out. And I'm a living witness that you can be doing so much to the point where you don't have nothing else to give. You have to be willing to look at the systems you are using and ask, is my system working for the mission or is the mission working for the system? So when life interrupts, I got to make sure that first I'm communicating, then I'm taking action. And here's the thing that I think every person needs to really get in this season of our life together, and that is the rest. What needs to be put down? What do you need to recognize you need to set down and let someone else do it? I am in the season where my yeses are far more strategic. And I'm not talking about in the sense of I'm getting something from it. But here's my qualifications for a yes in this season. In this season, my yeses are qualifications of, does it build ministry impact? Does it build family? Well, first family. Ministry impact, community impact. These are my three yeses. Now, my personal yes is always, does it build a closer relationship? That's an internal yes, that there's never a time that me spending time with God is a no. Okay? That's always a yes. There's no qualifier that says personal time, growth with God is a no. But for the open ones that I give to other people, is it building my family, building my impact in ministry, building my impact in my family, building my impact in my ministry, building my impact in the community? That's the first level of yes. I don't need a name. I don't need to be famous. That's not my prayer for the Lord, from the Lord. My prayer from the Lord is influence. Not the influence that somebody is taking photographs of me, but the influence where I can change people's lives. The first people I want to change lives are my kids and my family. For those that don't know, we've about adopted my son's girlfriend. I am influential in her life. That's an easy yes for me. That's an easy yes for me. She is connected to my daughter. She's connected to my wife. That's an easy yes for me. My son needs private time with his dad. I don't care what I'm doing. That's an easy yes for me. Before my son went off to college, I just every single day, first thing in the morning, I would walk with him, and I would talk with him. And there were days I was like, boy, I got a lot to do today after I get this walk done. Because the first thing was, what's my impact on my family? Second is, what's my impact in ministry? And I'm not talking about preaching engagement, but how am I showing up for the people that God has called me to serve? That's the impact. So I will give yes. And some of those yeses are inconvenient. But if I know that the impact is great, I can say yes. Now, here's where I won't do it. If it's certain things that I know I can task a deacon with, I can task one of my associates. One of my associates take care of our noonday Bible study. That's one of my favorite opportunities to teach. I love my noonday Bible study. But he's been teaching it for a year and a half now. And one of the reasons is because I couldn't do it anymore. And then the impact in the community. How am I able to serve my community? So, what are you willing to put down? What areas are you willing to say, I need to rest in this area, and this area is not for me? This area is not for me. I'm doing too much. In the comments, let me know an area that you feel like you're doing too much. You're doing too much. You recognize that you're doing too much, or here it is, you have put something important in the plate. You put something less important in the place of something important. You haven't been on a date with your wife in a month, 2 months, or more. But you're able to make every meeting that's going on. Something needs to get put down. Your kids haven't seen you. Something needs to get put down. There are certain areas that your rest is so necessary so you can be effective and valuable and present for the people who need you. So not only is it rest, and I'm winding down, y'all, but next is expansion. Who else can carry it? This goes back into the systems. The system should always serve the mission, not the mission serve the system. If ministry, business, or any organization or household collapse every time you become unavailable, that means that the system is working. That means the mission is working for the system and not the system working for the mission. There's certain things I trust that my wife can just handle. I don't need to handle. But prime example today, my wife had a very hectic day. So she needed help with something. And I paused and I said, babe, I know you feel like this is your responsibility, but would you allow me to take this off your shoulder? Would you allow me to relieve you of this duty? And she laughed and said, I would. Thank you so very much. Because her schedule at that moment was more hectic than mine. And I want to share with you because some of you all, you feel like you're the only person that can do it. And you are giving the ministry, you're giving the job, you're giving the organization, you're giving them a poor representation of your true leadership. Because a true leader makes disciples, and disciples are able to do the work when they're not there. Jesus says, you'll be able to do far greater than I would. I have. That is not that they are more powerful, they're more influential, but they have gotten it from the master himself, and he is equipping them to do that work. What are you equipping others to do? What are you equipping others to do? Expansion means developing people before the emergency requires them. That is the season we're getting ready to go in at Bethlehem. I am looking at people I can bring in and educational times that I can have with my people to equip them before the emergency happens. I don't believe there's going to be another pandemic happen, but I want us to be prepared for how the system needs to work. I want them, listen, I told my deacons when I first got there, my first job is to prepare them for the next leader. I've been there 12 years. That's what I said that 12 years ago. And that is still one of my major jobs, because if you are a leader that believes that you will be the only leader, you are delusional. Your job is to equip them, because there's going to be a time. There's an old insurance commercial that asks people to put up all the good days you plan with yellow stickers, all the bad days you plan with purple stickers. So they did it, and you had a sea of yellow and a speck of purple here. The guy said, because nobody plans for the bad days. Then he asked them how many of them have had bad days. How many of them had situations where they didn't see the change that they were looking for? And all of them raised their hand. So knowing you've had bad days, knowing you've had situations you didn't plan for, you still didn't make plans for your future to happen. I'm telling you, the leader plans for the chaos. And he plans for the chaos by equipping those who are chaos workers. And so maybe you needed tonight's conversation because your plan isn't working anymore. Your plan, the one that you have developed, the one that you've orchestrated, is not doing what you wanted to do anymore. Maybe the reality is you're finding yourself in a situation, You're finding yourself in a situation where you're saying to yourself that I may not need more discipline. I may not need a different rhythm. I may not need to quit. And guess what? I may just need to adjust. It's not that I have failed. It is that my season is shifting. That who I am is not the same person that I am today. My question to you tonight is, what's one thing you've had to adjust in this season of your life? As you're watching this tonight, I want you to answer me, what's one thing that you find yourself having to adjust in your new season of life? What's that thing? Is it that you had to adjust your expectations in marriage? Did you need to adjust your expectation in your leaders? Did you need to adjust your expectation in your retirement? What is that one thing that you had to adjust in this season? And what's something you know needs to change today, but you haven't given yourself permission yet to see it change? Storms don't always mean you're sailing in the wrong direction. Sometimes they simply require you to just adjust the sails. Means that you gotta reframe it so you can move with the storm. So tonight I want you to take some action. I want you to communicate. I want you to care for yourself. I want you to communicate, because you don't have it to gather this capacity that you have now. Your capacity has shifted. You may be able to carry more, but you need some more hands to help you hold it up. You need to take action. There is something you need to do, some system you need to put in place, and you need to review the system you have. Because if the mission is working for the system and not the system working for the mission, something's wrong. You need to rest. There's something you need to lay down, because you are holding it up. It's keeping you from carrying something important. There was an old practice where they put some plastic bulbs in the person's hand and then throw a glass bulb. And so they would always drop the plastic bulb to catch the glass bulb. And then they would tell them, here's a glass bulb in the hand. And they would throw the plastic bulb. Here's what would happen when they did that. Whenever they would throw the glass bulb in the hand, they drop the plastics to grab hold of the glass. And whenever they would throw the plastic but have the glass bulb, they would move away from the plastic so it did not hit the glass and shatter. Say, why are you telling me this story? Because the practice showed them, they knew that the glass was more important and more fragile than the plastic. I want to ask you tonight, what is the glass bulb in your life? The thing that only you can carry. And you need to drop some other things because you know it's so important. Or the thing that you're carrying that you're not willing to pick anything else up or catch anything else because you're afraid of it shattering. That's how you know what you need to lay down. And then expand. Build your team. Develop the system. And I want to be a part of that building with you. I need you to give yourself permission to build systems for the season that you're actually in and not the season you wish you were in. Because when life interrupts a plan, you don't always have to abandon the destination. Sometimes you just need to change the route that you're going through. I'm Stephen Garrett, the pastor's planning strategist, and this is the Pulpit View. If you would, message me, let me know if this helped you tonight. Share this with somebody. If you've not started following us on YouTube, please follow us on YouTube. We're excited as we're growing this channel. We're building this ministry in the Pulpit View. And here it is. We're excited because September we're going all in. And you already know October is Pastor and Ministers Appreciation Month. So we will have some special guests coming for you in October. And so as we're preparing to end the month of August, stay tuned for what's coming next. Message me if this has helped you and you want to learn more. I'd love to sit down with you and set up a time so we could walk through some areas that you can set up care for yourself. You can communicate, take action, rest, and expand. Be blessed. Have a phenomenal night. Thank you.